This box inspired my opening chapter, and inside the notebook I've got an envelope for pieces that I want to add later. I have a whole lot of research here about the ruins of Ephesus and some of the people who live there. I made it possible by taping pieces of paper to leave spaces for adding information later. I also used pictures that I had printed out for note-taking. There's tattoos by Scythians. I made lists and timelines and focused on particular gods and goddesses, and I included different tidbits I'd get from math and science, neurology. I also hid some material that if somebody looked into my suitcase at the airport, they wouldn't, right away see it. Some of this came from assignments by Gretchen Henderson, who had us make a shadow book for the work we were. I would use glue, like stick glue, or sometimes I use spray glue and spray the back of the pieces that I'm going to put in there. I would include information about different topics on the same page sometimes, thinking if I got stuck I could try to piece those fragments together to see if I could come up with something new, and that helped me generate new work. I also wanted to know things that I would want to see when I made it back to Turkey to do some research. I included a lot of maps so that I could, and I packed this around. I left it actually in the museum, and some nice people found it for me. I added anything that inspired my curiosity. Sometimes I would start with ideas, and sometimes I would just push forward. My big goal was to put together something that would inspire chapters later on as I wrote the novel. I wish I had saved the images separately, but they were taking up a lot of space. But it's nice to make a little video of your shadow book so that if you ever lose it, you still have some of that content. You can slow it down or stop it, enlarge it, see what it is that you have written there. Sometimes I would add entire journaling pieces. Sometimes I would fill just a part of the page and then fill around it later. I tried to not make it too tidy because then it would lose the generative aspect. I wanted to remember this was to generate another book, not just to create a book in itself. When I showed this to Gretchen, she was a little concerned that I would try to dump in everything in the book, and actually the book ended up being far longer than I had anticipated. But some of this material I ended up not using. It's better to start with a lot of material and then cut back, just use it as you need it. I like to use good archival pens that I get from Michael's or from the University Bookstore, and I like using kind of graph paper to help me with keeping text straight and also for placing images, but you don't need that. Anything that you can combine text and image with will be just fine. In fact, you don't need a notebook at all. You can make a shadow book using another book, which I'll demonstrate here in a bit. It's a commonplace book that Karen Brennan had us make for her class. Another thing that's optional is the images. I made several notebooks full of just text. When I was beginning to write the chapters, I would include short pieces and then develop them later.